with children's joyful sound. Elders' wisdom shared profound. Families gathered, angels too. Miracles out of the blue. I am so thankful for you. Family.
Thank you, Joanne. The only thing I ever ask from people in an introduction is let's keep expectations real. Thanks. Thanks to our beautiful music team. Leslie, it's so good to have you with us always. Del-Ann, Drew, Ricardo. It's nice to have beautiful, talented people on stage. And that concludes the talent portion of our program today. I'm thankful for Reverend Myrna to give me the chance to speak. I am here at the pleasure of the Leadership Council, and it's my pleasure to serve with them. Thank you, guys. Very special thanks to my dear friends, Linda Brewer and Farrell Zeman, who readjusted their schedule and came out with a beautiful talk like a fireman to let me be sick and allowed me to be here today. The length some people will go to get the last word is just incredible sometimes. This month our theme has been prosperity and abundance. Wealth, abundance, and prosperity. And as the treasurer, I'm supposed to get up and talk about money because that's always so much fun. And as I prepared to get up here today, I realized there's only two things I ever talk about, and that's right action and responsibility. And they're very important to me. I feel they're very important to you, and I feel those two things alone empower you to fulfill your mission more than anything else we can do. So my talk today, the theme that they gave me is substance and supply, and it's just a thin disguise for me to talk about right action. I'm going to do that again. But I am supposed to tell you this. You are backed and supported by an infinite, ever-replenishing supply. And you are. But you knew that. And infinite and infinity is a very big concept. It's too big for me sometimes. That being said, I'm going to speak about infinity next week. It's a very long talk. Bring a sandwich. I like to break things down just a little bit more for me so I can understand them, and I rely on Spirit as my source and supply for everything, almost everything. The rest I get from Amazon. And I know, hey, wait for it, here it comes. Amazon is almost like infinity for me. It's good enough, it's close enough for today. They have more stuff than I can look at. They have more stuff than I can buy. They have more stuff than I can eat. And they make it pretty easy to get it to me. And that's nice. Lately, this is true, I am having problems getting my Amazon packages. They're not coming through. And so it really doesn't matter what Amazon has or what they have to offer or what I need if I can't get it from Amazon. And a lot of times, that's the same way with the universe. The universe has everything. But that doesn't mean it always flows to me. And in the case of Amazon, they're pretty sure I'm not getting my packages and it's my fault. And I'm pretty sure it's them, and we're working through that. But in the case of the universe, I believe and I have been taught in the infallibility of the universe. And when there's a problem, we both agree where that is. And it is right here. And I struggle to find that and fix that. And so I'm going to speak about right action and how I put myself and how I've learned to put myself in those places. And more importantly, what I haven't shared with you before is why that is so important to me. I'm going to stick with the basic format. I'm going to share a little thought or an idea. It's supposed to open up your mind, make you curious. You're going to say, ah. I'm going to tell you some stories, maybe an analogy, maybe an anecdote. We'll see what comes out. And at the end, I'll repeat that thought. And if I've done my job right, it'll have deeper meaning, and you'll say, aha. So if that's okay, we'll go ahead and start and get that done. I'd like to start out today with a thought from the Christian Apostle Paul, from one of the most quoted chapters in the Bible, 1 Corinthians 13. And I'd like to share that thought with you right now. It wasn't a funny thought. Yeah. I don't know, maybe something went wrong there. Ernest Holmes taught us that right action and the right way is not dependent on what other people think. It's dependent on the results that we get. And that if we're not getting the results we want, it means that we didn't do it in the right way. But I shared a thought in its purest form, my thought, to your mind directly without any interference. But I should have known in a group this size, there's always one or two people who can't read minds. My bad. So I have to maybe adjust to get the result that I want. You were expecting probably that I would share that vocally and verbally. So let me do that. Okay. Take two. Quando eu era menino, falava como menino, pensava como menino, pois descorria tudo como menino. Mas, quando cheguei a ser homem, acabei com as coisas do menino. Yeah. Yeah. Ah, hey, there's one. Yeah. Good. All the people who speak Portuguese are ready to go. I don't know if I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish and that I shared that thought with everybody. But at this point, after two good tries, I usually give up. Because I know, it's not my fault you don't speak Portuguese. So when I share it later, I will try a different approach that maybe we can all enjoy and understand. Right action became very important to me at the age of 4 years old. My dad had taken my brother and I for a guys' night out to a basketball game at the high school in our little rural town. And we were up in the balcony of this old gymnasium watching basketball for the first time. First guys' night, first basketball game I'd ever seen. And my dad says, why don't you go and get a soda? And I said, yes. And so he explained it all to me. I had a very supportive dad. He thought I could do everything all the time. And so he dug in his pocket and he gave me a handful of change because you could buy stuff with change at that time. And he says, you're going to go downstairs. You're going to see a table. At that table, there's going to be some kids. And those kids will help you get a soda. And you know, do you know what you want? Can you tell them what you want? I said, yeah, I want root beer. He says, great. You run down there and do that. Big, big day for me. First time I got to hold money. First time I got to buy anything by myself. First time I got to go do anything by myself. And if there was anything better than root beer in the world, I didn't know what it was. So here I go. And I go down there and sure enough, there's a table. And behind that table, there's a soda machine and there's a few kids there. Well, the dynamic of my family is I was 4 years old, but the other kids were a lot older, and they were 12 to 16, and we all sat together at the kids' table, and so they were kids and I was kids, and here we go, and I assessed the situation, got up there and said, hey, got to the table, they're all working around trying to figure out how the soda machine works. I notice a stack of cups and a muffin tin with change in it. So I'm great. I got this money in my hand. I pull it out. I put the quarters with the quarters, the dimes, the nickels, the pennies. Grab myself a cup, walk around the table. And I said to the kid that was there, I punched him in the thigh and said, how's this thing work? And he looked at me and he's like, what are you doing back here? And I said, I'm getting a root beer. And he says, guys, there's a little kid back here. He's like, you can't be back here. And I said, I can't? And he said, no. And he grabbed the cup away from me. And I said, oh. He says, come back and bring your dad. And I said, okay. So I go back to the muffin tin. I'm pulling out my quarters and my time. He says, hey, you can't do that. And I said, I can't? And he says, no, you can't. He says, come back with your dad. So I went up much slower this time to the balcony, sat down by my dad, and he says, hey, where's your soda? And I said, I didn't get a soda. And why not? Well, I don't know how it works, and they wouldn't let me get one. And they said, come back and bring your dad. And he says, okay. He says, okay, give me the money. I haven't got any money either, Dad. He said, okay. So we went down, and I learned that there's a right way, because the second time, I got the result right, and I left with the soda, and everybody was happy. I'm so glad for my dad and the support that he always gave me and the encouragement that he gave me, and a lot of you did not have that good experience, and I hear about that, and I really cannot relate because I didn't have an overbearing, demanding father. But my daughter Jackie sure did. So I'll tell her stories from here on out. That experience with the soda affected me deeply. And I knew that to get the results I wanted, I had to do things in a certain way. And when I came to be a father, I wanted to make sure she understood the certain right way to do things so that she could get the results that she wanted. Well, she had come home one day from kindergarten with her first test she'd ever taken in school. And she popped that up on the fridge with a magnet. And I think she had dance class that night. So when I got home, nobody was home. And I walked by the refrigerator and I see that up there. And it's got the little 100% and the smiley face on it. And I'm like, wow, this is great. And the assignment of this test was they had to write their name across the top of the paper. And then in a column on the left side, they would write the numbers 1 through 10. And she got 100%, but just for fun, I wanted to look at it, and her handwriting was great, and her letters were perfect. And I counted down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Something I have never seen before, 9 and 10. And I'm like, wow. And I looked at it again, and what she had drawn there, I mean, it took incredible effort. But imagine a lowercase t. If you put it on its side, and the crossbar was there, and then the line went through it with the little tail that went up. And on top of that crossbar was a sideways something that might have been an infinity sign at one time that somebody left out in the sun, and it just kind of melted down over that. And just this 2 ellipses down there. And I'm like, wow. And then I look back, and yeah, it was 100% with the smiley face on it. And I'm like, this teacher does not have enough time to get all her work done. Jackie comes home. She sees me sitting in my chair. She runs to the fridge, yanks that down. Dad, did you see this? I said, I did see that. Got 100%. That is great. Yeah. I said, can I ask you a question? Yeah. Because she knows everything now. I put my finger down between 7 and 9, and I said, what is this? And she said, it's an 8. And I said, no, it's not. Yes, it is. That's how I make my 8s. And I said, no, it's not. It's fine. That's how I do it. My teacher knows how I do it. She said, that is fine. And I said, oh, no, she did not. And then Jackie took her low stance with me and get her fists are clenched, and she screams at me and stomps out of the room. Conversation was over. So I don't know what to do with this. I really don't feel I can put it back on the fridge, but something has to be done. And I had talked to her about it, and I said, there's a couple ways you can make an 8, and I'd be happy to go over that with you. And she says, I know all that. I just like to make my 8s this way. And I said, well, that doesn't matter. Oh! So that didn't work. Well, seriously, it was like 2 days, 3 days after that, we got a notice it's time for parent-teacher conferences, and so I took this off my dresser. I went on into parent-teacher conference. I met a beautiful young lady who grew up her whole life. All she wanted to be was a school teacher, and now she was one. And this is her second year of teaching, and what a joy it is to have Jackie in class. Such a beautiful girl, so smart, so intelligent, so very nice to the other kids. It makes me coming to work every day, it's just a joy. And that's basically all we have to talk about, unless you have any questions. I do have a question. And she said, okay. And she pulled out I pulled out my paper. And she said, yes. And I put my finger down between 7 and 9, and I said, what is this? And she said, it's an 8. And I said, no, it's not. Yes, it is. That's how Jackie makes her 8s. Whoa. Dad was wrong, but really he wasn't. And so then she started teaching me about child development. And and at this tender age, we really don't want to hamper anybody's creativity as they grow. And I said, yeah, but we also don't want to prepare them for failure. We can be creative in our individual self, but sometimes we have to cooperate with other people. And the reason we come to school is we all agree what a number 8 looks like. So when any of us want to communicate that, we can show anybody, and they're like, God, that's an 8. I thought I'd made my point and won, and I don't know how the rest of that conversation went. I forget. But I do remember I was the teacher's assistant in kindergarten for the rest of that year. And I learned a little bit more about child development. My first lesson in that came from Jackie also. She is tiny. She could talk up a storm, but she was just tiny kid. She's about 3 years old. And people come up to kids, and they're cute. And because kids are cute, they bring out the cuteness in us, and we like to wave at them and say, hi, how you doing? And we do this little kid wave. And so her grandpa was doing that. Bye, Jackie, and I said, can you wave goodbye to Grandpa? And she said, yes, I can. And she goes like this. And Mr. Right Action here says, whoa. Please don't do that in public. People think you're special. You'll go to a different class. No, don't do that. And she says, I'm doing the same thing you're doing. And I said, you're not. You're doing the exact opposite of what I'm doing. And she said, no, I'm not. It's the same thing. And I said, no, you're supposed to do it this way. And she said, I am doing that. Well, her grandma jumped in and gave me my first lesson in child development. She says, before the screaming started, she called the timeout. And she says, look, when Jackie sees people wave like this, she sees the palm of their hand, and she sees their fingers move. And so for her to recreate that in her mind so I can see it, she has to put the palm in front of her face like people wave to her, and she has to move her fingers. And it is the same thing as what she sees you do. And I said, wow, okay. But it's the exact opposite of what she should do. But eventually she started to figure things like that out, and her brain grew, and she learned more things, and she started to read. And she was about 8 years old, and her favorite store was Payless Shoe Stores. And it was located where we were located, we would pass that Payless Shoe Store 4 times a day. And in the course, from when she started to read until this date when it happened, literally, we must have passed that store 5,000 times. One day we're driving by and she says, "Whoa, guys, do you know why they call it Payless shoes?" I said, "I think so, but go ahead." She says, "Payless isn't even a word." She says, "It's pay and it's less. Because you pay less for shoes at Payless shoes. Isn't that cool?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Jackie, there's a whole world just waiting for you to see it. It's a whole big, beautiful world." It's funny now. I told you that story so I could tell you this one. All those stories. Because sometimes we want things that are bigger than the number 8. Better than a root beer. And there was a time in my life when I had money. Sorry you missed it, Wendy. It was good. It was good. And I didn't just have money. I had money and time. People growing up, they told me, well, you can have money or you can have time, and you make that choice. And no, I had both. And I had restored my health. And I enjoyed the company of a stunning, very beautiful, and, if I may say, extremely well-built motorcycle. But I was all alone. And it's not that my last relationship didn't work, it's that none of them had. And not romantic relationships, exclusively. I didn't have any friends either. And my family was tired of me. And I was sitting on my couch having coffee, talking to myself, because that was my social life. And I said, "Curt, how is it that you could have time and money and good health and fun stuff and you don't have any love? Is love so mysterious that you couldn't figure it out?" And I thought, no, I can figure this stuff out. And so I assigned myself that project, and that was my full-time job. And I worked at it all day, every day. And I would do therapy sessions with myself on what my experience was with love. And I would read books. I'd read textbooks on love. I'd read spiritual books on love. I'd listen to love songs. I watched movies. I watched people. Could not figure it out. Finally, I decided it was time to read a romance novel. Yeah, that was an interesting trip to the library. Just doing a little research. Got home, opened one of those up, and that's when things changed for me. Because as I read the first few pages of that, I already knew the answer I was looking for wasn't in this book or the other ones I had on the table. And so I put it down and I went to sleep. I woke up the next morning. I made breakfast. I cleaned the house. I took a shower. I got dressed. And I was mad because I couldn't figure this out and I didn't know what was going on. And I sat right down in the middle of the living room and I said, "Hey," that's not usually how I start a prayer, but that's how it went today. And I said, "Hey, you know and I know there's something I need to know about love. And I have looked and I can't find it and I don't know what it is, and I'm pretty sure you do, and I'm confident that you can show me. So, I am asking the unseen power of the universe to show me what I can't see. And like Buddha under the Bodhi tree, I promise you I will not move from this spot until you show me what I need to know about love." And I waited. And I waited. And I waited some more. Thank God it only took 3 minutes. Now we're all the hero of our own story. And I share this with you for a specific reason. This isn't a story about how amazing and awesome I am because I had an experience with the divine. We all have our metaphysical moments. This is a story about how amazing and awesome I am that I learned something which caused me to think and act in different ways. And the life I live today is not the life I grew up living. I sat there with my eyes closed and legs crossed, and it seemed to me like the room was getting brighter. And I'm like, that's weird. And the room got brighter. And I'm like, you are making this up. This doesn't count. And so I opened my eyes to readjust and get back to normal, and the room was getting brighter. And that intensity increased, and it should have hurt my eyes, but it didn't. And as soon as I acknowledged that that was happening, and I was surrounded by this big, bright light, the divine appeared before me as me. I didn't know what to do with that for a long time till I met you guys. Dressed in jeans and a hoodie, looked at me, smiled, and waved. Oh, and it was gone. Dang. I knew everything I needed to know about love. I did. It was all around me. I could see it. I was just doing it the wrong way. I had to turn that stuff around. I had to turn it completely around, and as soon as I did, I started getting results, and I started getting better at it, and started getting good. Still working on it. Sometimes I still way backwards. It reminds me to love forward. I shared a quote earlier from the Apostle Paul. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, he's talking about love. And he says, when I was a child, I spoke as a child. I thought as a child because I understood everything like a child does. But when I became an adult, I had to put away the childish things. He went on to say that, hey, it's like looking through a smoky glass. And you look and you see what you can see, and you understand in part, and you do the best you can, and you act in part. But when you clean that all away and you see everything as it is, your action will be perfect and your results will be perfect too. That is beautiful. The infinity, the power of the universe is our birthright to use. We are children of the universe. We are children of God. But we're not here to be children of God. We're here to be adults of God. And to experience life and love as adults of God, as partners and co-creators of the universe. I've learned recently there's 3 kinds of love. Well, there's more than that, but the 3 we're going to talk about are the instinctive kind that you get, that it just comes out of you when a friend needs help, a child needs help, you get around kids, people who are helpless, your heart opens up and you go out to them. The second is the emotional love. And that is, when you love me, I feel good. And when you don't love me, I don't feel good. And then the other one is a conscious love. And this is the one that requires effort. It requires intention. It requires preparation and practice. This is something we do with the universe and for the universe. On purpose. So as we get ready to go into prayer, I'd like you to prepare 2 things. Number 1, let's select a thought seed of love. I call it a neutral thought seed of love. It's not the best thing, but it's the only way I know how to describe it. And you want to think of something, it's a loving thought that opens your heart up. It's not you being loved. It's not you loving somebody else. It's just one of those moments where you go, ah, A-W-E. And you go, ah, The thought I'm using today is my little grandson marching around making his pirate noises. That just worked for me. It opened me up, and I said, that's wonderful. It's just a very neutral thought. Take a moment, start deep breathing. Just take relaxed, longer breaths. And think about that thought of love. It's a vision of beauty. It's something that surprises you and makes you thankful for the universe all at once. Some of you are at the beach. I'm not reading your mind. I just know who you are. Don't think of the beach and how it feels. Don't think of how it sounds. Think of that moment when you first get there and go, there's something bigger than me. And I love it, and it loves me back. Everybody has got one of those. Another thing we all have is we are working on our little project. We've got our challenges, we've got something we're facing, we've got something we're trying to learn and overcome and understand. And think about that. And put that into the form of an affirmation. Me, I need more income. I need income at this point. And I am going to say, hey, I'm going to set an intention, and I'm going to ask the universe for something, and I'm going to ask the universe for something that can be accomplished in a week's time. And so I want you to think of it that way. And in a week's time, I will receive to my mind new and interesting ways, 3 new and interesting ways that I can create income. In my reality, that is very possible that the universe can do that for me. Now let's go back to that thought seed of love. Just focus on that, whatever it is. Replay that, loop it over and over in your mind, and watch what happens. The deep breathing, the relaxed state you're in, helps you feel calmer. You're in a peaceful state, and that's the breathing. The Tao says we create by doing and not doing. And the doing part of this is where we take and hold that thought in our mind. And we're going to let that grow inside of us. And it's just this pure love. And it's not for me, and it's not because of me. It's just growing inside of me. Is there a light to it? Is there a color to it? Is there a temperature? Can you quantify that feeling? That by itself just rises up within you. This is who you are. This is what you do. This is your greatness. You can do this anytime. You can do this any place. And as that light, that energy that we call love, it's the very source that creates the universe, grows in you. Let it grow to your fingertips, to your toes, to the edges of your body, and hold it there. Now, I think this feels good, and I think it's fun, but it's also a science. And so I want to experiment right now that we're full of love. Try to express that, expel that from your body, and don't give it to anybody. Don't do anything special with it. Just shoot that right down into the earth. See if you can just exhale and drain yourself of all that love. We're told that the universe loves a vacuum and will fill that vacuum instantly. Did you lose your love? Do you have less than you did before? No. This is you. This is you, and you're creating this love. I'd like to invite our practitioners forward as we move into prayer, this feeling of love. Focus on that thought. Focus on that feeling. Let it grow inside you and just hold it in for you. You are not channeling love. This isn't a gift to you. You made this for you. We've been taught that as we use our consciousness as a group, we can multiply that effect up to 1,000 times. And so now take that love and let it go and flow beyond your body. Let it flow out into this room. Oh, wow. Let it flow into the room. Give it freely. And as it leaves your body, more is there. You're creating more space in you to create more of the love that you make and create. In this time, in this place, it is easy to know the love and presence of God. The power of the universe is in me. The power of the universe is outside of me. And I share it with you, and you share it with me. I am the universe that makes and expresses love. And universe to universe, please join me and let's say, I love you. I love you. And in this room of light and love, we know that God is, we know that we are one with the universe, and that the power and the infinite is on our side, that we create what we want. We're creating love right now. And all is well. And it's the thing that we declare to the universe that comes through this power of love. And so in this combined, multiplied consciousness, join me. I will talk over you, but you need to say out loud your intention for this purpose and this love. And in this space, I am knowing that in the next week, the universe backs me and supports me and opens my mind in ways that I can create more income. Fun, interesting ways that I had not thought before. New thoughts can enter my mind and will come to me through various paths. Take a moment, focus on your intention, and let's say those out loud in brief words. I believe in the power of love. I know that goodness is flowing to me. As it flows from me, it fills me with love, and that the things that I ask are the things that are mine. We take this room full of love, and we send it out into our city. We send it out as light and love, and where it goes and flows, it heals, it nurtures, it guides, it teaches, opens up our mind. It's our gift. This is what we do together. We are raising consciousness, and we are spreading love, and we're giving everybody that which they can work with and need and feel. Knowing the goodness of the universe is apparent. We give thanks for all we've received. We give thanks for this beautiful building and the wonderful things that have happened in here for us. We release it, knowing that the love and the joy and the power that we have put into it lingers and continues and blesses people past us and beyond us. We are blessed and we bless others. We look to the future with gladness as an adventure. What is waiting for us, we don't know. But we trust in the universe that where we go, they need love, and we can bring it. So giving thanks for all the goodness that we have, for the goodness that is coming our way individually and collectively. We are so grateful for the blessings that we have, for the love that flows, and the law that makes it so. We have been blessed. We are blessed today, and blessed we will ever be. And together we say, and so it is.